Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are around the world watching this video, because obviously we're not live. It's me again, Lee the Dorset Spur, bringing you another episode of Shooting the Shit, and this is episode number 3. We didn't even think we were going to get there. A veritable hat trick of videos. We never thought we'd make it. I am today with my guests on my down below me, actually, all the way from Rhodes in Greece, is Mason, our little stato. Calamera. Do you even know what that means? Calamera, come on.
It's food, isn't it?
I do not know.
Oh, he did an international.
Oh, international Spurs. Just across the way there, we also have our good friend Sweary Alex. Hello, Sweary Alex. How are you today?
Hello, fine. Do you like my headphones? Look, proper headphones now. Treating myself.
Proper headphones. Oh, well done, you. I hope you're not expecting me to reimburse you, because I'm not going to.
I look like a roller skater now.
And tonight, for his very first episode with us, his debut, is our good man JJ, Jason Tranter, all the way from South Dorset Spurs. My good friend. Hello, Jace. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for stepping in.
Hey, no problem. And big love to Dino, one of them. Get well soon, mate. It's nice to be a substitute for you, my friend. Hopefully, I'll do you justice.
Yeah,
he looks lovely in the stockings, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's in that a big get well soon to big flange, because he's not very well. He's currently in hospital. He's got his stockings on. He's got his nightie on. He's got a couple of drips hanging out of him, which is a bit like me having Sweary Alex and Mason. But there you go. We can't have it all always. And Mason's disappeared anyway because the internet in Rhodes is not very good. Clearly, so
it's not that Lee doesn't like you. He's had enough.
No, very true, and I could absolutely understand that. Anyway, listen, I'll get straight into it. Of course, we are all in a very, very good mood today. We're all in a very good mood because, of course, Tottenham won. We won a game. What was all the panic about? So Tottenham win 4-0, and of course, we all feel on top of the world. The naysayers will say it's only Everton. Keep your feet on the ground, Lee. Keep your feet on the ground. But listen, being an old happy clapper like me, I have to say, I'm happy. We got the 3 points. That's all that matters. I wish we were on 6, but we've got 4. We're keeping the pace, shall we say. So anyway, tonight's episode, we're going to talk about that win against Everton. So I'm going to start off by talking to Jason, because Jason was at the game on Saturday. So, Jason, give me your overall views on the game on Saturday. How was it being there, being part of the that number, watching us actually trounce someone for a change?
Hey, I can't say it was brilliant to be back. I have to say, it's good to be back after a few months being away. It was. Oh my goodness, a very early start. What can I say? About 5:30 in the morning, getting up for the excursion to North London, and having a good old social at the Gilpin and LTs. But getting back into the ground, it was just good to see old faces as it is. We've got a great crowd in Block 419. Caught up with lots of people, and I was excited about the game. I know there was a bit of a hangover for some people after Leicester. And you could feel a little bit of apprehension in the crowd, and it certainly came through in the first half. So, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good. Back to Spurs, and back to Spurs winning. You can't beat it. What a feeling going into work on Tuesday morning after the bank holiday. And, yeah, very happy with the performance. And only disappointing thing for me is, and we're no doubt we'll cover it, a couple of the players weren't quite up to scratch, like Romero. I don't think so, and that's probably going to be controversial. But I'll hand it back to you guys and say, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's really good. I'm glad you touched on the fact that it's about the day as well, because being older guys, like most of us are, with excluding Mason, we always say it's not just about the 90 minutes; it's about the whole day, right? And so meeting up with your mates, going to the pub, having your breakfast in LTs, a few beers, listening to DJ Dell in LTs, a few Jaeger bombs, I'm sure, it kind of adds to the overall day, right? And I know the fun bus going up is always a good travelling experience for those that have done it. So yeah, I'm pleased that you bring that up, James, because I think that sometimes gets forgotten in the overall scheme of things. So yeah. Alex, you was at the game as well. So come on, tell me, from your point of view, I'm sure you met up with Jason and the boys from South Spurs. So what was your view of the overall day?
Great day, mate. Had a great day. Took my son Mitchell with me. Always good to see Dorset. Always smiles. We had good days. Good night. Well, relatively nice breakfast. Wasn't up to scratch of the Gilpin. It was a bit poor this week. But no, LT's was a good laugh. And like I say, Mitchell went from being quiet to an absolute loon. We were the last to leave LT's on Saturday night. Dale wasn't there, so they had the jukebox going, and then they had another DJ go from 5 o'clock, but he done a really good job. Everyone was in good spirits because of the result. It was good to see mate Scott, who saw us sit next to. The only downside for the game was that I got absolutely fucking soaked. Whoever designed that stadium, they're about a metre short. Where we sit, it's either really, really hot or it just absolutely pisses down. So we all get up and we walk to the stairs, we all walk back, and it stops. Then we go back to our seat. Now we've got a wet arse. But yeah, no, the game, the game made up for that. I thought we played really well. Pedro, he was pumped up. He's right next to me, about 20 foot away. Where I'm in row 2. But he was pumped up. He kept looking at the crowd, giving it, come on, let's have it, sort of thing. I think he played really well. I think the team played really well. There was none of that left, right, back, left, right, back. There was a bit of it, but not too much of it. I thought we played good attacking football, and happy with the result. Son's goal, Pickford, that was funny. England's number 1. Yeah, he got told about that every time he got the ball. Although to give him his credit, Pickford did take it on the chin. He did take it. He knew he messed up, but he did take all the abuse he was getting on the chin with a smile. But 4-0 win and a great day. Great day.
Fair play to him. Right? He's one of them, isn't it? You can't hide from a mistake like that, can you?
No.
And to be fair, it was better for him that Sonny actually just put it in the net rather than actually gone down and give a penalty away, because he could have got himself sent off. To be honest with you, from what I saw watching it on my little screen like this, because I had to watch it on a bloody South Korean stream with them shouting and screaming. So I had a different view of the game than you two, obviously not being there. Mason, just bringing you in because obviously you was on your way to Rhodes for your lovely holiday. I can't see much of a tan though, mate. Are you?
No, not yet.
You're in the room all the time, are you? In the room all the time, maybe?
No. To be fair, I got a bit of tan on my arms, but I'm struggling to get a bit on the face at the moment. But
sorry,
we'll get there.
I'm sure you will, son.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Well, bunch of dirty old men. Anyway, Mason, come on. All seriousness, I know you said you saw the first half and you've obviously watched the highlights afterwards. What was your view of the game? I know you had a different experience not being there, but.
I mean, watching the first 45 minutes, I did think one phrase comes to mind. That's Bissouma's redemption. I did think he had a great game. Obviously, getting the goal back, saying sorry to the fans, saying sorry to Ange. I thought that was a very nice touch from him. Even then, Son's goal, he's doing what Solanke was brought in to do, pressing the keeper, forcing the mistakes. So I like to see that's being influenced around the whole squad. I also like seeing all the squad working together. As I say, up until the 45th minute, the squad, it looked like we bonded very well. Everyone knew what the game plan was. Everyone knew what to do. Obviously, didn't see after the 45th, but it looked like everything went well. Odegaard had a great debut, what I heard. For the first 45, he had a great 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I wanted to be honest with you, I wanted to start. The first thing I said, and I have to hold my hands up, right? When I saw the team sheet, I saw that Son was through the middle, and I thought, oh, here we go again. We've brought in Solanke, who's injured, obviously, which is just our luck, right?
Yeah,
just our luck. A player that didn't miss a game all season last season comes into the game, plays one game, gets injured, and I'm thinking, okay, so Son through the middle. What a joke that is. Here we go again, away from his best place. And Bissouma's back in. And I'm like, well, that punishment lasted a really long time, didn't it? One game out, and soon as Bentancur misses a game, we're having to go back with Bissouma. So he was well and truly punished. And, do I look like a right Charlie? I absolutely do, because obviously Bissouma comes out with an absolute rocket. and scores a brilliant goal for his first goal for the club. And obviously, as Mace has just touched on, he goes off and does his apology to the fans and gives Big Ange a cuddle and all the rest of it. So, so I look a bit of a Charlie, really, but I'm used to that. But, Jason, I just wanted to get your view on the old Bissouma thing, because we talked about it previously ourselves. But how did you feel about it? Did you think to yourself it was all a bit of a fuss over nothing, or was you really outraged by it? Because I've seen a lot of people that have been really outraged by him sucking on these balloons. And other people have been like, really? Is it that big a deal? What was your view on that?
I wouldn't say I was outraged. It seems to be commonplace these days. I'm disappointed more than anything else. He's a Spurs player. Kids look up to him. People look up to him as a Spurs player. And we look at Dele Alli, some of the previous stuff that he got up to, and that was part of that process as well. And he's on the slippery slope, isn't he, to a decline. So, stuff like that leads to other things. And we at the end of the day, we wanted to be a footballer for Tottenham Hotspur. And on Saturday, to see the interaction between him and Ange after he'd scored the goal, it kind of put it to bed in some respects, because people at the beginning of the game were like, "Oh my God, why is he playing? He's really messed up there." But when he took that shot, not only a shot, he took it from outside the box, didn't he? He smashed it from outside the box.
Just on the D, wasn't he?
Yeah, so Dino's was screaming into the camera for the last couple of weeks about shooting, and I think we discovered our shooting boots on Saturday, because to see that goal go in was an absolute peach, and ultimately it switches to you are the Tottenham Hotspur player again, not the idiot that's sucking on balloons on your spare time. So in that respect, it was good, and he did play well. He did give the ball away a few times, and him and Udogie did that, but overall, it was a good performance, and it's good to see him back. And the whole team sort of seemed to work. It was a few surprises, to begin with the team sheet, but it seemed that the interaction between a lot of the players stepped up a different notch, especially the guy Wilson on the left-hand side, number 28. His interaction between Sonny and Bissouma was absolutely fantastic. So there's a lot of positives to take from what was quite a big negative in the first game. And to see Sonny run like that as well, because he has been off it. We all know the guy's been off it for a while, but he seemed to be right from the off. He was running, and it didn't surprise many people, I think, when he took that ball off Pickford and stuck it in the net, because he was on a mission on Saturday to show what he can do. So it's good to see.
Mm. So for you, just picking up on what you said there with Bissouma, all forgiven? You think that's over now, and time for him to just move on, and fans just to move on?
I think it sets a mark. It sets a line in the sand for everybody else, because I don't think Ange is going to mess about with people. There's clearly a close-knit group there, and if people want to be part of it, they've got to play the game. And I think he's a disciplinarian, and I think he did the right thing, and he did the right thing by integrating him back into the team, showing what he should be doing, and then crack on. And he scored the goal. Fantastic. And I think, we can move on. Let's just hope we get some similar performances in the games going forward, not just that one against Everton, because there is a good player in there, and he's not shown it on a lot of occasions. When he first got to us, he was excellent, but then he dipped off again. So let's see the true Bissouma coming through, what we need in that midfield.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think we obviously saw what a player he was when he was at Brighton, and for him to come into the squad and everything, he's not really shown too much. The first sort of few games of last season, we started to see it, and then he just went off the boil. And stupid sending off against Bournemouth, and weren't Bournemouth, was it? Luton, I think, got sent off and stuff like that. And you just think, where's he going? And then to come on with the balloon thing, I just, it almost looked like he was out the door. There were even fans sort of saying, he's just selling. And even implying that had there been an offer, he would have been gone. So hopefully this goal is a bit of redemption for him, and a wake-up call that he can kind of go forward and be a real asset to this squad. I do wonder if Bentancur hadn't been injured, if he'd have been brought back so quickly. I think he may have found himself out cold for a little while longer. But you got to take your chances, and I think he took his chances on Saturday. So just going on, just picking up on the Sonny thing, Alex. What's your view on Sonny? I know we've been quite critical of him. I know in the last episode we said, it's a difficult one. We don't really like being negative about Son because obviously he's been such a great servant, but he has been quite poor. What did you make of him on Saturday? 2 goals and that, because you questioned him, he's in being a captain and that as well. I've seen a lot of clips of him.
Yeah,
kind
I've
of
got to eat
really
my words.
going around the youngsters. Yeah, I don't know. What's your view?
I think I've got to eat my words. Sort of thing. He did play well on Saturday. It was like, he had a bit of a purpose. I said, I don't know what's been said to him, but he was here, there, and everywhere. And I think more goals he scores, like the Pickford one, it's just going to boost his confidence. But I never, like I said before, as him being a captain, I never see him leading from the front as such. I still question that. But as a player, I think he's, I think it's just a bit of a dip. Like I said, let's not get too excited. But he did score 2 good goals. So, I think he's on the up, hopefully. Whatever's been said, it's been said, and hopefully he's listening.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Mason. Just want to come to you just while we're still talking about Son. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Mickey van der Ven and his run. You probably didn't see it, but you must have seen some replays of it on Twitter or wherever.
What a rocket!
Yeah, I mean, what a run that was all the way through. And to be honest with you, I was a bit surprised that he passed it, because when he passed it, I did think to myself, has the chance gone? So yeah, I was interested. Mason, what did you make of it? Was you impressed with Van der Ven's foray forward there?
I was very impressed. I was impressed that no one decided to take him on either, if I'm being honest. To give him that much space, to give him that much space and to actually not try and put a foot in is very, very bad from the Everton players. Being that we know his pace, we know his dribbling, we know what he can do. But just touching on the Son stuff, I'm going to go a different direction. I don't think Son's been as bad as a lot of people have been saying. Being that he was the most informed winger in the season, in the Premier League last season. He had 1 bad game against Leicester, but even then he wasn't that bad. He created quite a bit. Yeah, he lost his footing in the last few minutes, but even then, 1 bad game, he's come back, he scored 2. I do think because we hold Son to such a high standard, a bad game against Leicester is like, oh Christ, he's fell off. He's not Son anymore. I do think that a lot of people are giving him too much stick. I understand where the stick's coming from. I understand the criticism, but at the same time, he is still one of the best wingers in the league, and so far he hasn't proven otherwise.
Yeah, I guess a lot of the criticism tends to come from the fact that he doesn't seem to be going past people now. Like previously, you'd see him kind of whip around the outside and really take people on, and it's almost been like he's holding back, cutting inside and so on. And bear in mind, he has been playing an awful lot of games through the middle as opposed to his favoured left side, right? So you've got to take that into account as well. But yeah, I've seen a lot of criticism of Son. I personally don't think he's been that bad. I don't think he's been up to his usual standards for a while. I think last season, like I said, even in a season where people would have said he'd had a poor season, he still bagged a hatful of goals and assists, which is pretty impressive when you consider that him and Kane, the kind of top 2 for goals and assists between them. Losing your partner like that at the beginning of last season, maybe that had an impact. I don't know.
But Lee, do you think he's a leader though? Does he lead the team on the pitch? Do you see him leading the? Do you see him picking the team up when they're playing rubbish? Do you see him being vocal?
I see him a lot with like the younger players, like geeing them up, talking to them, and those kind of stuff. And I think he's a player that leads by example rather than a shouter and a screamer. Do you know what I mean? Because there's different ways of leading, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't expect it to be a shout. He probably can't shout in English very well either, but but I just don't see him doing much when the chips are down. I just never see him bigging the team up. I mean, he must be doing it. I must be missing it.
I don't know. I guess it all comes back to what kind of leader you are. If you lead by example, or you lead by putting your arm around people, talking to people, and having that personal connection, that's a bit different from someone being the out and out kind of grab people by the scruff of the neck and throw them around.
Yeah,
and
but
that
he's
kind
not.
of
He's
stuff,
not. His
He's
temperament's
never
not
going to
like
be
that
that,
anyway,
is
is
he?
he? No,
He's never going to be like that. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, a lot of leaders as such, even outside of football, probably moving away from that style, I guess. It's just something the older ones of us will get are used to kind of that kind of berating, aren't we? I mean, you see that when Vicario had a go at Bergvall last week. There was people going, well, that's a bit out of order. You know, the way he's talking to him and all the rest of it. Some of the older ones of us will say, well, you know, he's just giving him a bollocking, you know. So a lot of it's perspective, I guess. Talking of people getting a bit of stick, and I want to bring it up and get your views on it. Brennan Johnson. So Brennan Johnson, what's he? So like 22 years of age, just come into the Premier League last season, playing in a big club compared to where he's come from. No disrespect to Forest. I'm talking about, recent times. He's absolutely become Tottenham's fall guy at the moment. And I'm just wondering how you guys feel about Brennan Johnson overall. Like, do you feel that it's unfair criticism? Do you think it's bang on the money? You know, what's the view, Jace? I'll come to you first as the most level-headed of the group.
What do you mean by that? Right, that's it.
Sorry.
I'm off.
So Brennan Johnson. So there were periods last year where I'd say he'd saved us in some respects. The guy came on as a sub, and he would an impact almost straight away. I remember coming on, marauding down the right hand side, and I mean marauding. He was going down there, he was flying down there, putting crosses in after crosses, running his arse off. Virtually saved us in some games, but coming on as a sub. And clearly, Anne sees something in that. He sees a player in there, and he's proved it to us, where he won man of the matches last season, and then all of a sudden, at the beginning of the season, like, he's off it. I still think there's something there. I still think his touch is slightly off at the moment, a little bit off at the moment. He's doing the runs. He's getting in the right positions. It's just that final ball, that final moment where it counts. And you could probably cross that over to Werner as well a little bit. When he does come on, he's a little bit of the same. I just think after a few more games and a little bit more confidence, he's gonna start to shine. But that's me putting a positive spin on quite a lot of bad press for the lad. And I want him to do well. I think there's potential in there. And the balance of the team at the moment is just bedding in at the moment. And there were huge signs on Saturday of positivity. And I think the little bit of negativity, it's shone on that lad. But I don't think he deserves it too much. I think he deserves to have a little bit more of a chance.
I sit close enough to the pitch to see his face, and you can see the disappointment he has in himself when he makes a mistake. But he's trying, and he's doing well. You know,
there's a player in there, definitely a player in there, and I think we just need to give him a little bit more time. I think maybe in the Carling Cup or not Carling, League Cup or Carabao, something like that where we'll play maybe a team below, a division below, or something like that, and we'll see in building that confidence against a team like that, and then he'll push on in the Premier League. But just let's give him a little bit of time. He's getting some bad press at the moment. I don't think he deserves it too much.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly helpful to berate a player as much as some fans tend to do, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? So, it's all about opinions. Because if it wasn't, none of us would be bothering to kind of have these discussions. But I saw something the other day which I thought was quite well put. Was that he kind of does enough not to get called out, but not enough to be a standout. So he's a bit more like the workman in the team, just gets on with it and all the rest of it. You don't really notice that he's how much he's done, but you don't think that he's as bad as as some people are calling out. And I think that's probably a bit fair. And the other thing I've seen as well is about him being an impact sub. So Mason, just give me your view on Johnson in terms of, is he a starter for you, or do you think that maybe as an impact sub he might be better placed coming on when players are a bit tired or after being run ragged maybe, and bringing on that pace and stuff?
I mean, we all know Johnson's quite young. I think he's still 23. He is still technically a prospect. But we know the sky is quite literally the limit for him. He's as JJ just touched up on, his final third is probably the worst thing about him. But even then, last season he was good. Well, I think he got 15 goals and assists throughout the whole season, even then. But I think at the moment he's become a bit of a scapegoat since the likes of Ndombele, Jai Rodon, and a few others have left. He has become the scapegoat. A few people running the agenda online of how Johnson symbolises what's wrong with the club. I think it's very, very negative of him, being that Johnson is a good player. He's still young. As JJ said, there's a player in him. He just needs to get the time, especially in the cup games. Bit of time there, watch his confidence grow, see what happens. But I do think he's become the scapegoat since a lot of the deadwood has left. There's no one really to shift the blame on, because before Johnson, it was Højbjerg.
Yeah.
And now Højbjerg's gone. There's not a lot of blame to shift on.
Yeah, and everyone's looking for someone to kind of pick out, I guess, as to what's wrong with this football club, and it's a shame that it becomes one of the players being, especially a young player from that point of view. I'm just thinking about this issue of him coming on as a sub. So if he comes on as a sub, who's he taking over from? Because I had this debate, and I'll name the person I was debating because he told me off for not saying it. So I was in the club and I was talking to Jono. Jono, I've called you out, mate. He looks a little bit like Timo Werner, actually. But I was having this debate with him about Kulu being on the right-hand side as opposed to Johnson, and I said that Ange sees Kulu more in the centre, which he did play him on Saturday. But are we saying that Kulu is the man for the right-hand side ahead of Johnson then? Alex, what do you think? Are you Kulu to the right, or are you happier with him where he was on Saturday?
I can I have a bit of both. I'm in the middle. I think he's great on the right, but then he played well where he was on Saturday. I think he's Johnson needs the game time. I just think the way they played Saturday was great. If Cooley stays where he was, Johnson on the right, give him more game time, let him mature the position. He should be a good player. I mean, it's not a lot you can say, is it? He's like JJ said again. There's a good player in him. But I prefer Cooley where he was on Saturday. Thinking about it very quickly.
Yeah, see, for me, if you're not playing Johnson on the right, then you're looking at Werner. And I've got to be honest. And I love my hands up. I'm not a fan of Timo Werner. I don't believe he brings enough, and I would prefer to see Johnson there than Werner personally. And my only criticism really of Johnson is get the ball in, high, low, whatever, just get that ball across, because we see him coming in late, following in and stuff like that, coming in at the back post and stuff. So I think I agree with all of you. I think there is a player in there. It's just a case of giving him the confidence and the time to mature into that position. For me, I actually quite liked seeing Kulu where he played. I thought he had a really good game on Saturday, and complemented quite well. For me, with him on the right hand side, he's not fast enough. He doesn't, because the way Ange plays is he wants them bombing up the wings, right, and crossing the balls in. That's where you're getting the opportunities from. And I don't think Kulu does that. I don't think he kind of bombs up there. He's really strong. He's got great upper body strength, shrugging people off and stuff. But he seems to be better cutting inside doing that rather than going on the outside and whipping the ball across.
Yeah, I'd agree on Kulu in the centre. Worked quite well the other day. And he showed some of his old Kulu. He showed his strength. He was going past two or three players and
taking them on,
taking them on. And that was the Kulu that we first got. Again, he dipped off a bit, and it's getting back to the old Kulu, I think. So that worked quite well with them interchanging in the centre with him and Sonny coming in, and working that worked really well.
I think going forward, I do think Kulu needs to start in the middle, especially alongside Madison. There's two creative players there. Being with Kulusevski, he's so physical and so technically gifted, it's insane. Taking on, as you say, 2-3 players at a time, winning the corner. That was the dream that was sold to us when we first had Kudo on loan from Juve. I think that putting him in the middle, even Kulusevski said it himself, he prefers playing in the middle. It feels like he's got more freedom. Feels like he plays better. He feels like he merges with the team better. I think going forward, the midfield has to be Kulusevski, Madison, Bissouma, or Kulusevski, Madison, Bergvall. Just rotate it around. But I think going forward, we do need Odebear or Johnson on the right, Kulusevski in the middle.
So what we're saying, I wanted to talk about Odebear because obviously it was his debut. What is he, 19 years of age? Angie's been really impressed with him. I think that from what I saw of watching it on my little phone, he looked like he was a decent player. You guys was at the game. What was your view of Odebear's performance for his first game?
You want to go? There was Wilson on the left and Johnson on the right, and there was huge space for Johnson on the right, but they kept feeding Wilson. Odebear kept feeding it. He kept running and running and running, and he was getting past players, no problem whatsoever. And he ran out a little bit of steam. I think he probably did too much on the day, and he ran out a little bit of steam in the second half. But my goodness, they knew what they were doing. They were getting it out to him, and I felt we just talked about Johnson. Felt a little bit for him. He was in masses of space, masses, but they kept going left all the time. And as I say, the triangles and the interaction over that side was amazing. Worked really, really well. But you know that everyone again, if you read social media, it was written off before he even started. Who's this bloke? Yeah. Who is he? What we doing? And yet, what a fantastic debut! One of the better debuts I've seen for quite a few years. So you know, again, well done to the club for recruiting this lad because he's very, very good and he's fast. And that's what they seem to be doing. Young, fast, high press, sorted. Happy days. Defensive midfield's a little bit dodgy, but that they seem to be getting that bit almost absolutely right at the moment. And that's great to see.
I guess I just, with all the players that we are bringing in, and people are saying we've had a really poor window and blah, blah, blah. But like you say, you've got very young, so you've got time. Fast players that high press that can be influenced by the manager to play the way that they play, but they're also really versatile. Because I didn't even think about Odebear going right as opposed to Werner. So actually, if he can play on the right hand side as well as Johnson, and if Son's on the left, and you've got Solanke back, then maybe that's where they do rotate that position, and Johnson doesn't have to play every game and may get the opportunity to be an impact sub. So I think the other key point around it has been about versatility, right? So you've got, you know, when you look about Jed Spence plays left back and right back, and you've got Archie Gray who can play centre mid, he can play centre back, he can play right back. You know, you've got all these players who can play in these different positions across the front or whatever, is kind of where he's trying to go to cover all of the different positions that we've got. I guess we've just seen. I know I'm just going to go off track slightly, but we have just seen Ashley Phillips go out on loan to Stoke, and today we've seen Solomon go out to Leeds on loan, I believe. So that's two more players going out. One of them as generally speaking as a left winger. So Odebear maybe the cover there with Son and with Werner, and then you've got Ashley Phillips going out. That kind of concerned me a little bit with Phillips going out, because my understanding of him coming in last season was he was going to be one for the future. He was going to kind of go in that young, kind of fast, strong centre back. It kind of still feel it leaves us a little bit short in that position in defence now. We've still having to rely on maybe Ben Davies, who is obviously getting older and not as assured maybe as Van der Ven and Romero and Dragusin. How do you feel? Do you feel we're short at centre back now? We've lost Phillips. Alex, what's your view? You worried?
No, I don't. No, I think, like we said, all different players with different positions they can play. I don't think they're going to be missed. I think the team that they played on Saturday was a good team. So I think we could stick to that. I think we'd go forward a bit more.
I guess the one in defence that worries me is the left back. Is the left back position. We've got Udogie, who I think is great. Not at the best of starts, I guess. He's a little bit sloppy still, but coming back from a fairly lengthy layoff. But a bit concerned about left back as the main area I would love to see us strengthen before the end of the window. Anyone else got to share that view, or am I overreacting?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we had before the season ended last season, we saw two different players training in that left back role. I mean, Skip coming on against Liverpool last few minutes at Anfield, he put in a shift. We all thought he'd be all right, but obviously now he's at Leicester. Donnelly, even he was training last season and in pre-season, the left back role. We've shifted him off. I don't know where he's gone out on loan, but I know he's out on loan.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Lee. I do think we need to strengthen that left back role. I think I have seen in the news that we are looking for opportunities rather than going out for a specific player. So anything that arises, maybe as Levy tends to do, if there's a good bargain on the table, maybe we'll snap up a left back. But going forward, it does worry me. Being that we have got cover, as you say, with Mickey van der Ven on the left, like we saw at the end of last season at Villa. Dragusin obviously filling in at the left centre back role, and Van der Ven moving out to the left. But then again, it is an area that needs to be strengthened.
Yeah, especially as we're still looking at players to move out. For me, the biggest success of this window has been actually players leaving as opposed to players coming in. We've shifted a shed load of players, right? And as I look at the squad now, there's only two left that I personally think should be moving on from this squad, and that's Reguilon and Lo Celso. And I know there's a guy who stands next to me in my season ticket space. He actually loves Giovanni Lo Celso. I'm not his biggest fan, but those two probably are the next ones to leave. So I think for me, the amount of players we've shifted out has been quite successful. I'm just concerned about whether we've got enough experience within the team that's gonna see us through some difficult times, as opposed to the youthful enthusiasm, shall we say? Although very versatile, and I have to say, Gray, Bergvall, both look very, very assured when they've come on and haven't really let us down. And Jed Spence, again, I thought has been really really solid, certainly at right back, not so much at left back, and that's why that kind of concerns me slightly. So that's kind of where I am. Jace, do you think we're going to get anybody else in at the end of this window, or do you think we're done?
No, I think that business is going to continue right up to the last minute. I think there's still deals to be done. I'm slightly disappointed that we didn't get him for Chiesa. I've heard that he's only going for like 10 million or something, but his wages are too high. 150 crowns in a week, which I don't think is too bad compared to some of the players we had like Ndombele. But yeah, I think there's still business to be done. I think there's a few surprises out there. I think I said that on the Sky Sports News yesterday. They're expecting a couple of really big bits to go on. Chelsea seem to be vacuuming a lot of people up, which is just a normal for them as they do. Yeah. Sterling and Sancho and people like that going here, there, and everywhere, and it's kind of bizarre the way other people are doing business. I personally think we've done good business and we've done it in the right way. And I certainly like Archie Gray and Bergvall. I mean, they're quality guys coming in, and we mentioned Wilson earlier. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting few days if we can get some more decent players in. I think the left back position is probably one of the final pieces of the jigsaw. There's questions on the defence of whether we always lauded Toby, Jan, Walker, and Rose. Are we moving into a similar era with Mickey, Romero, Dougie, and Porro? I mean, there's a question there, and it could be a possibility, and that could be fantastic. But it's just who takes their place when either they get sent off, injured, whatever, you know. And I think that'll start to show as we start to go into the cup competitions. We'll start to see how maybe shallow our squad is, or how good our squad is. So yeah, we've got a busy few days, an exciting couple of weeks, especially with the draws coming up, Europa and the League Cup. So let's see where it goes.
So for you, where do you think else? Where else do you think that we need to strengthen? I'm going to say I think left back, absolutely. I always like to think that we've got a good couple of players for each position. So for me, the centre backs. For me, I know we've got Ben Davies, we've got Dragusin. I guess so. So that kind of gives us two players for both positions. But is that enough? I was just a bit surprised with Phillips going out. I just thought it would be a good opportunity for him coming in. I thought he was going to be one of those youngsters like the Bergvals and the Greys coming in, that he was going to be seen in that ilk. But maybe there's not enough of him in training to kind of convince anybody. So I don't think he even got a lot of time in pre-season, did he?
I don't remember. I remember Spence being given a bit more of a chance than a few others, but I don't remember seeing much of Phillips. But I could be wrong.
I think as well, he said that Gray can drop back into a centre back as well, which is a position he didn't play at Leeds, which is interesting.
He's one of the most versatile people we've got, isn't it? He could play right from the defence right up to the attacking side. So, and certainly Bergvall is pretty versatile as well. So I don't know. There was some talk about when we played Leicester and they showed the bench, and it's probably one of our strongest benches we've had for quite a while, to be honest with you. So I think it's a bit of smoke and mirrors going on. Are we strong? Or are we not? Maybe it's too early to tell. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like everyone, because we talked about this in episode 1 about do we feel the bench is stronger now than it was last season, and I think all of us felt it was, because we felt that we've got new players coming in that we feel are Angie's players rather than leftover players and so on. But then I've seen a lot of people, social media, sort of saying, these are just young kids, we've got no experience and we need proven players and so on and so forth. I just don't know. I guess the proof of the pudding will be in the eating overall to kind of tell us whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. So I guess we'll just see.
They said the same thing about that other team down the road, Woolwich, a couple of seasons ago. And so they've prospered quite well, dare I say it. But, maybe we're on the same kind of path with the youngsters. Season or so time, we're going to be flying.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, with them, like they spent a lot of money, and they brought a lot of players in and all the rest of it. A lot of youth, brought a lot of youth through, and so on. But then they went out and bought key players for key positions. So like they went and got Rice because they really needed a 6, and they went out and got Raya because they really needed a better keeper or whatever. But you know what I mean. The point is that it's like if you go back to the Liverpool time, right, where they went out and they got Van Dijk. They needed that sort of player. They needed a top-class goalkeeper. They had the other foundations around them, and they went out for those key people. And I just don't think we're in that position of just only needing one key player. I think we need that depth of incoming players. It's whether these ones are the right ones, because we've had our fingers burnt so many times. And like most of us, we've seen so many false dawns, haven't we? I've been in so many false dawns. I don't know what time of the day it is, to be honest. So,
Oh, I like the army's going over.
Oh, Jesus. You could go on mute when that happens, mate. There's a little mute button there when my dog's bark. I shouldn't have to teach you this at your age, really. I just wanted to touch on a couple of other things, not necessarily around the match, but I wanted to talk about the atmosphere in the stadium, because it was really difficult to tell from my phone what the atmosphere was like, because I've been a little bit. Sometimes the atmosphere can be fairly good. A lot of the time, though, I find it really, really flat. And I was just wondering, you guys was in the stadium. We're winning the match. We're scoring goals. What was the atmosphere like? Did it improve? Has the atmosphere improved with that, or is it still very much a, sit back and a polite clap?
Who's going to go first? I was very wet. like to say.
The East Stand evacuated at one point.
Yeah, no, yeah, we stood up and walked out. It was about a fire drill. It was a flood drill, but no. I think the South Stand always tries to get people up. I mean, Saturday was funny with Pickford. Every time we had the ball, everyone was giving it, "Ooh, what's he going to do next?" sort of thing. So it was a bit on Saturday where I was. It was a bit comical. South Stand in the corner, they're always loud. Where I am is very much, well, like Tui, like for the tourists sort of thing, And we had one guy on his own kept shouting out where the shelf side, and he was the only one on it. He kept doing it all match, just this one single voice. But yeah, no, it was a good.
And you never helped him. And you never stood
Well,
up and helped him.
No, I was too pissed off being wet, mate. That's the reason why. But no, it was good. It was comical. It was funny. As I say, Pickford done well when he was down our end because he was taking it from all sides. But no, I think the atmosphere was good. Everyone was cheering the team on. When everyone starts singing the same, want Spurs and all that sort of stuff, the whole stadium just feels the tune. It's great. It's great. It was good atmosphere. I enjoyed it anyway, except for being wet. Have I mentioned that?
Yeah, only once or twice.
Yeah,
which is normal for you because you are a drip. Jace, come on, you was there as well. What's your view? Was the atmosphere as good as Alex is saying, or was it a bit boring from your point of view?
Well, I sit in the north, Paxton, so it's always difficult for me anyway. It's just a round of applause and well done, sir. But good shot, sir. Good shot, sir. But no, it's difficult to tell really. I mean, if you're amongst the South Stand, you're right bang in the middle, then you're going to be bouncing most of the game, really. But it's quite quite segregated. It doesn't branch out too far from that. You can't feel the East and the West.
No,
you can feel where the guy is with the drum and the top. As I look at it, top of the South Stand almost. You can see that kind of movement there and a bit of sound, but. It's like anything. It's kind of meanders through. Nothing ever compares to when we played Arsenal a few years ago, and that was just that kind of electric, just constant noise, like levels like you've never heard. It rarely ever gets back to that kind of level. It comes in, it goes out again. The whole Pickford thing actually brought everybody up, put a smile on people's faces, and brought a little bit of fun to to the crowd, because it was like watching Daughters of Weymouth or something like that. I mean, you're right up behind the goalkeeper and they're taking a goal kick every time and they're getting stick, and it was very much like that. I think that, Pickford suffered for it because he made so many mistakes, and the crowd were on top of him, if anything else. So yeah, I mean, it's evening games and stuff like that, always much better under the lights. And Saturday afternoon at 3:00 or a lunchtime kickoff can be a little bit difficult to bring it up to those levels. But I love my day there. I love watching it. I love watching the South Stand bouncing when it does, and especially when we'd scored a couple of goals and Mickey did his run. It was a great atmosphere around those bits. So. And one other thing, I don't know if anyone else noticed, there was no free from desire at the end of the game.
Yeah, no, a few people said that, didn't they?
Yeah, so I don't know if they've had a word with them and said, look, we're not celebrating yet. We haven't won anything yet. It feels like we're, over-celebrating maybe, I don't know. But I kept a couple of people behind at the end of the game to watch the South Stand and say, look, it really goes off here. It was great. We won the game. It's normally bouncing, but no. It's up the DJ, I say, but there we go.
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing because it's a real, or it's a great tune anyway, and it's always good at the end of it because it indicates that you've won the game and everyone's happy and everyone can go out and as well as I do, when you come out of the stadium, when you're having a good win or whatever, you can get a few people stay behind and have a few sing songs, the banging of the metal. Steps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it
the
kind
rabbi
of feels
taking over.
Yeah, the rabbi up there waving his flag and telling everyone they're done and dusted. I love all that. It takes me back, and I for me, that's what the game was all about. I love the camaraderie, the sing song, and the jumping about and everything. And I just feel like it's probably been killed off a little bit in modern day football, generally speaking. But I was just interested in the fact that because obviously when you're not winning, it can be quite toxic. But when you're winning a game, when you're winning the game emphatically and played fairly well overall, then you've got to think to yourself, if that don't get crowd up, what will? And I know there's a lot of people out there working on things like the drum, like the guy with a trumpet, like the guys who do all the flag waving and all the rest of it. They put an awful lot of effort into doing that, like trying to make all like the tifos and stuff. And working with the club to try and make those things happen can't be easy, because they can be a little bit awkward. Because I know they were trying to do something for the North London Derby and have been told they can't.
I can't stand that drum. If he was behind me, that would be bouncing onto the pitch. That would. I mean, I don't mind the trumpet at the beginning; that gets you going. But no, if I'm standing next to a bloke with a drum, mate, he ain't playing it for long.
You miserable sod.
See, this is the trouble with modern day.
And don't get me with the flags as well.
You've got people like that. See, this is the trouble. You've got people like this, middle-aged men who don't know how to enjoy themselves.
I want to enjoy myself, but I want to see what I've paid. I don't want to see some bloke waving a massive flag in front of me when I'm missing what's going on.
Wave it while you're playing.
No, I know they don't. It's just irritating. But
anyway. miserable old.
It's just me. It's just me.
Mason, have a word with him. Jesus Christ. I'm glad I don't sit next to you. So moaning about the weather, moaning about the flags, moaning about the drum. Jesus Christ. Why do you even bother? Go and support someone else if you don't like it.
I go to see you, Lee, but you never turn up.
Listen,
someone said, "Where's that plastic, Lee?" I went, "No, I don't call him plastic. That's not very nice."
Listen, I'll be there at the North London Derby. I'll be there.
I
was there at Bayern Munich. I was there at Bayern Munich, wasn't I? Anyway, listen. Just a couple of other things I just wanted to talk about. Not necessarily about the game or whatever. I will come back just for any other comments about the game. But I wanted to talk about Jermaine Genius because I thought this was a hilarious story. Poor old Jermaine, ex-Tottenham player, obviously, getting the boot from the BBC for sending inappropriate text messages. Now, I have to say, how bad must these text messages be for you to get the sack from the BBC, considering all the other people that have got dubious backgrounds that have worked for the BBC? So, anybody got any ideas about what he's been sending? Is it really that bad?
Must have been taking lessons from you, Lee. The ones you send me, it's outrageous. No, he was on TalkSport when it happened. I was listening to TalkSport when I was cutting a load of keys, and all of a sudden they were talking about the game. Was it Chelsea playing? And then all of a sudden it stopped, and they were talking about him. And he was just saying, "I can't comment. I'm just going to hand it to my solicitor." And I thought, "What's going on here?" And then I got home, and then it was all over the news. So, moral of the story is a bit of black tape across your eyes if you're sending a dick pic. I suppose I don't know.
Terrible. I'm digressing, but it did
it's unfair because he was saying it's a bit. Other people are saying it's a bit unfair considering the BBC's background and all that sort of stuff. They're just trying to be like showing, making a stand, I suppose, or making an example of what's previously gone on. But I feel sorry for him. I think he's great pundit, great presenter. It's just a shame they've gone that way. So I hope he sues them and walks off very well.
Yeah, I'm sorry for his missus, to be honest with you. I think his missus. I feel more sorry for his missus than I do for him. Because it must be pretty degrading for her having to hear it all over the news that your husband's got the sack for sending pictures of his dick to.
I'm sure she'll get over it. He'd take her out shopping. She'll soon forget it. Don't worry about that.
Oh, you misogynist! You're a bloody misogynist as well as a miserable old git.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money. My wife can do what she likes if she brought that kind of money home. Get on with it.
You're a nightmare. Listen, I just wanted to go. I know I digressed there, but I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to finish off a little bit about the game with Everton. I've seen some stuff from Everton fans really having a go at Tottenham fans for celebrating the fact that we beat them and suggesting that we've been quite disrespectful to Everton. I personally, I've got a lot of time for Everton. I think it's a great club with a lot of history, albeit not too recent. With an obviously horrible, noisy neighbour that wears red as well. So I think there's some similarities there. But obviously, people calling out at Everton. Everton were a really poor side and all the rest of it. And we shouldn't get excited beating a team like Everton. But I think that's a bit unfair on Everton. what's your view? Do you think they're really that bad, Everton? Was they really that poor?
They're banging trouble. Yeah. I think they're probably gonna fall like Man City did a few years ago. And it's couldn't be any worse a time for them. They've got that new stadium coming. They're in debt. They've not got the players. I think Sean Dyche. It was reported they only had 14 players to choose from for the first team on Saturday. So I think that's one of the I quite like Everton. They've got a great history. They are a much more dignified and pleasant than their neighbours. I have to say, and having been up there, it's one of those old school grounds that you love to go to, a bit like White Hart Lane was back in the day. But they're banging trouble, and Sean Dyche is probably odds-on favourite now to get the sack, which is a bit of a shame, really, because he even though they had the points deductions last year, I think they had quite a few, didn't they? Did they have more than 8 points?
About 8
points. They're 10, didn't they?
Yeah,
They're
3
10
different
points.
times.
Yeah. So for him to get him out of that situation, he's done him well there. But they are banging trouble, and they're one of the teams that have been in the top league for many, many years. I think they're one of the ones that haven't dropped out. Is that correct? Maybe.
Never been.
Or something.
I've never been relegated. Yeah.
So in some respects, it's sad to see. I saw the abuse the players got when they got on the train.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of the stuff that Tottenham had done them with injustice. But most of them would have seen it anyway, because they probably left at about 70 minutes. There's only a handful of people left in the stadium. So. They're banging trouble. I hope they don't. I personally hope they don't go down, because it's a great club. So I'm sorry to hear that, and I kind of hope they'll be okay.
They get over.
Yeah, I mean, there's more. There's worse clubs than them that should go down. To be honest with you,
I'd agree.
I dislike more than I dislike Everton. To be fair. Anyway, listen, guys, we're almost at 60 minutes. We've almost done our hour. So first thing I want to do is I want to say thank you, Jace, thank you, Sweary Alex, thank you, Mason, all the way from Rhodes. It's really great of you to come on. Obviously, sending our love to Dean. Hope he gets well soon. Sorry that you're going through this. He was actually gonna come on from his hospital bed, believe it or not, but he's just not well enough. So we send our love to Dean. So just to finish off, just to say to you guys that are watching, thank you for all the comments that you've been sending in. We read all of them. I've had a couple of phone calls from a few people as well. Telling me we're doing the right thing. Hopefully these chats are getting better as we get more and more used to it. The video will be out on Wednesday morning, so if you're watching this, it's now Wednesday. It will also be available on audio channels, Spotify's and the like. Something that I've tried to do. So please do like and comment and share and 5-star ratings and all that malarkey. Because that really helps get everybody else on board as well, because we look forward to talking about our favourite club, Tottenham Hotspur. So I'll leave it there. I just wanted to say that to everybody else. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Up the Spurs.
Go on, Tottenham.
Up the Spurs.